going on? Back on Saint LFCTV with your boy Saint. What is going on? Hope you're having a good festive period. Merry Christmas and all the rest of it. To everyone, happy Hanukkah and, all of that good stuff. As you can see, I'm joined by my guy, Neil from Beyond the 90 Minutes, Beyond the 90, sorry. Leicester fan, nice guy. Give him for his club affiliations. Neil, how you doing, bro? Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's first time for everything. So yeah, no, it's good to finally come on and yeah, just that's what you think. But looking forward to it. But bloody hell, man, we just played each other. What's going on?
I know. We just seen each other. That's what I was thinking. Do you know what? We do quite a bit of content together. Obviously, shout out Sarcasm City. Go and see our stuff on there. Yeah, this is actually the first time you've actually been on the channel. So welcome. Listen, before I even get started, guys, please, if you're in here, if you're joining, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, go over, and I'll put the link of Neil's channel in the description. So just go hit that, you know what I mean, real quick. Would appreciate that. So, as Neil said, we've met each other. Didn't go too well on your side. Went slightly better on ours, I must say. How are you feeling? I mean, let's get straight into it. Let's just get straight into going into the game. Like, how are you feeling? Should we spend some? Obviously, I think I know the answer to this one. But should we spend a little bit of time in the game that came previously, or should we just mull over
previously? Bro, it's yesterday. Let alone previously. It was literally yesterday. We're playing it today. Oh man,
it is a bit ridiculous.
It's how do I describe what happened with Leicester? It's been the weirdest thing to analyze because whatever way you look at it, you're kind of right. Because conceding 6 to Man City is not a big thing. It is a big thing, but then having players are injured, but then they're not performing. But then we came back up 4-0 down, but then Brendan Rodgers didn't get the tactics right. Man, it's all. And this is a guy that I know can do good things, and I've seen him do great things. We're performing way under par level. And it's, again, partly down to COVID, partly down to formations. It's everything. I don't even know, man. But what I like about Brendan is he's like, right, I'm not going to make excuses. We know this coming into the beginning of the season. Let's just go and smash it, try as much as we can. And the fact is, we're still going down. We're 4-0 down, and we still come back by 3 goals at the Etihad when we shouldn't have had any right to. Is some positives to take. Maddison looks like he's in form. Iheanacho's in form.
Iheanacho takes that goal. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just saying, if Iheanacho takes that goal and brings it, what was it? I think it's 4-3
4-4. Yeah. 4-4. Brighton missed a header.
Mate, that I know he missed. I don't know how he missed that, but it makes it a very interesting game. So, like, you're right. You had no right to come back in that, and you did well. Sorry, continue, man.
Yeah, it's just a weird one because we had no right in being as good as we were at 4-0 down, but we did. But then you're thinking, why are you turning up now? Why didn't you turn up at the beginning of the game? We showed them too much respect. And at times, I think I got in my notes kind of watching it. It seemed like a training ground routine, like to the point where, you hear sometimes where they go, right, especially I was listening to some football podcasts, and they were saying where sometimes you go in training and one team would attack, one team would defend, just give them the ball. And that's pretty much what Leicester did. We showed them too much respect.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It was frustrating because, again, I think 23 minutes in, we're 4-0 down. 23 minutes in, we're 4-0 down. That's atrocious. And it was going to get... And that first half was just terrible. Partly because Man City were great, but they didn't have to really get our third gear, but we were terrible as well. It was a really weird one to analyze because I can there's positives, there's great positives considering the amount of injuries that we had. I mean, apart from, I'd say, Schmeichel, Tielemans, Tielemans, Maddison, none of them start for our first team. We're talking about we're playing a right back at we're playing a right mid or left mid at right back because we're just filling in whatever squad. Daniel Amartey, supposed to be going to AFCON. We're just trying to keep him fit.
He was really solid in that game, or not really solid. They let in 6, but do you know what I mean? He was one of.
It's a weird one to analyze.
But a weird one. It was weird. Well,
I don't know, man. I don't know. So coming into this game, obviously 2 games time, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. Defensively, we're not there. I don't know what the things are like for your side in terms of injuries and stuff. But from what I've heard, you've got a pretty much fit squad ready to go, isn't it?
Well, you'd say that. Before I get into that, obviously, shout out everyone that's in here. Shout out Uzi, Sergio, Liverpool away. What do you think about the Leeds versus Liverpool being postponed? Kind of indifferent, if I'm honest with you. I would have preferred to have played the game. No disrespect to Leeds, but it would have been what I would have considered an easy 3 points. Do you know what I mean? And we could have just moved on, kept pace. Because of that game being postponed, Robertson now isn't available for the Chelsea game. Things like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just at this stage of the competition, I know the old adage is, you know what I mean, points on the board is better than games in hand, and that's how I basically feel about it. However, obviously having a little bit longer period to rest serves us quite well as well. So it is what it is. Shout out yourself, Uzi. I in terms of our squad, yeah, we don't have we've had a lot of, or not a lot, but we've had a few COVID cases to quite poignant, do you know what I mean, players like Fabinho, like Van Dijk, do you know what I mean? And they're coming back, they're training. Thiago, do you know what I mean? They're training. But again, I've had a few friends, like, or quite a lot of people actually up here who have got COVID. And it did make me think, because like a few of them have been done. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely done. And I was thinking to myself, right, we put all this pressure on players to be like, you got COVID, right? You've had your isolation, let's get back. And I don't know what type of effect it could have on certain players. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got others who are asymptomatic and just ready to go, whatever the case may be. So
completely case by case. It's
case by case. So when you say, yeah, we have players available who have come back from the COVID situation, who have been training, who I'm probably going to include in my lineup, but I don't know what state they're in. Do you know what I mean? I'm just literally, they had COVID, they've had their isolation, they should be available. I don't know if they've still maybe got some drawback from that. But yeah, this COVID thing is pretty, it's just a lottery, isn't it? It's mad. It's you don't really know what's going to happen. In terms of your team, it is a crazy one, because you're one of them ones where I said as well, like, you're in bad form, you're not in great form, but you've got few players who are in good form. It's mad. Do you know what I mean? Madison's in probably one of the best purple patches of his career, I'd say. Vardy's is looking good. Tillemans has been looking pretty good. Do you know what I mean? So you've got players who are in good, like coming into this game, regardless of the form that you're in, it's those players and the form that they're in that I'm most scared of. Do you know what I mean? It's not, you're not a team that's just completely, do you know what I mean, just getting battered. Like you said, that if anything, that second half yesterday scared me a bit. I was like, oh, flipping out. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's techie. Obviously, on the other side, us going into this game, we obviously had the EFL Cup, but I don't really feel that amounts to much, because it was such a different team. That, do you know what I mean? It's not, in terms of your team, not that much different, to be fair, but in terms of our team, a lot different. So, and we just don't know. With yours, you're just playing chess with who's available. We don't know. Yeah,
it's just one in, one out, because again, since that Liverpool game, we've picked up again. Ricardo is out now for 8 weeks at a bare minimum because of that Morton challenge.
Can I say something? Again, can I say something? I do apologize for that. Like,
no, I don't blame you. I'm not. Again, it's not your fault.
No, I hear that, but like,
how about your club? Just say again, or get the man to apologize. Come on.
Yeah. No, and I apologize as a fan for that. We can't put so much emphasis on. Do you know what I mean? Like certain tackles that have happened, like Harry Kane's, and then just kind of brush over this one, especially if he's out and it is such a, do you know what I mean, sustained injury. So I do. Hold that one.
It's all good. It's not your fault. But I'm saying, and so you don't need to apologize. It's the thing is, when Klopp went in and when he was going in, and then that happens to your own play, you've got to be fair. And I'm not saying you have to come in and say that was the worst challenge ever, I'm throwing a player under the bus. Just no, look, what happened, that was not good. It wasn't acceptable. I apologize for not saying anything, and then that's all we need, isn't it? but instead he's not apologizing. He's just he's not even saying anything about it. But and the thing is, the worst thing is, again, I think we mentioned this on LFCTV when the Hamza Chowdhury situation, when he went for a clean tackle, worked, and then the Liverpool fans came out, and then even Klopp went after Hamza Chowdhury for a fair challenge that he should be going for. Then that's what we love him for, getting that ball in and clearing it out. Mo Salah wasn't hurt from that, but I think he had to go off just for a precaution. But when the same thing happened, when something even worse happens, then he doesn't say anything. And I'm like, come on, man, you're better than this. You should be doing better than that.
The hypocrisy is a bit, No, I do hear that. Like, I love Klopp. Do you know what I mean? I want Klopp to adopt me, but I'm be honest, because he's not beyond reprieve. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things that he does,
especially today. I think there's people that like I'm a fan of Klopp and his tactics and stuff like that as well. However, you're looking at the situation at the moment and you're going, right. You're going at the moment. What he said today, I'm just like, why? You don't need to say that, bro. Just relax. There's no reason to say that, like, at all. Because partly, Sean Dyche is a bit of a hard man. He'd go, right, when you started me in the tunnel, I wish I just nutted you. Because that's the next time if you try, he'll do the same thing, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean. He just needs to keep his mouth shut on certain affairs. Even the whole like vaccines and stuff. Like, just keep your mouth shut. Like, it's not your. Do you know what I mean? Like, your point. You're saying we should take advice from people in charge, and then it goes against your very own point. Like, you should just shut up and just let us. Do you know what I mean? It just, anyways, it is what it is. Shout out Crudon that says St. Max is rinsing this United defense. I want him at Liverpool.
1-0.
Oh, yeah, I know, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You know, it might change after half time, though. Let's be honest. But
also, Maximin gets a big rep. From what I hear from Newcastle fans, they aren't too happy with him because he's one of the players. I don't know if you've had it. You've probably had it for Liverpool. A player that thinks he can do it all himself. Yeah, and tries
and trying to take on 3 players outside his own box and stuff. And like, and
when it works, amazing. But most of the time don't.
Often it doesn't.
But you only get that from watching a full 90 minutes. You don't get it from watching the highlights on Match of the Day or on the 3-minute highlights on YouTube.
And this is the thing, right? Trudon says, I want him at Liverpool, right? This is the thing, Trudon. This is what I'm going to say to you, innit? You like him because of the very point in which we're making. The fact that you can see him do all of this unpredictability, taking on 3-4 man. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why you're like, whoa. But when he comes into, say, like a Liverpool, he's gonna have to play a far more refined position. Do you know what I mean? He won't have the freedom to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and just like freestyling as such. Do you know what I mean? And
if there's an opportunity to shoot or square it to Jota and Jota to get a tap in, he has to square it to Jota.
Not all of this taking on 4 or 5 man, and it works for Newcastle because the guy you could have squared it in for probably not going to put it in bar Callum Wilson. Do you know what I mean? So people are, but like when you take that out of his game and he then turns into a more refined midfielder or more refined player rather, are you going to be as enamored with him? Do you know what I mean? Like, could you then? I feel like you're going to get him to chip away at the things in order to make him the player that you want. Might as well just get someone who's pretty much there already. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want St. Max doing what St. Max does at Newcastle at Liverpool, if you know what I mean. Like, that's not like, brother, relax. So yeah, no, I do hear that. All right, so that's kind of brought us nicely in terms of kind of our predicted lineup because of all the injuries and everything that's going on and COVID killing us. And I'm gonna let you start first.
So just in the background, I've been preparing something a little bit. So I didn't know we were doing this. So I've just prepared this quickly. This is how I think we're going to set up for the majority of the time. So we're going to see probably if you bring that up, just, yeah. So obviously, probably here we've got Schmeichel in the bottom, but we'll leave that because that's kind of a given. You're playing Schmeichel. Then the back three, you're going to have probably Vestergaard. No, actually, he'll play it the other way around. He'll probably play Vestergaard through the middle, Daniel Lamarte to the right, because that's his, and then Timothy Castagna to the left.
Can I say Vestergaard looked a darn sight better against City than he did against us? And would you agree? I thought he looked a bit when he got subbed on. I thought he lost his way a bit, but then when I saw him at City, I thought, wow, he looked like blue.
So Vestergaard's position in the team, he's 5th choice centre back for Leicester City. The reason what his role was is to replace Wes Morgan when Wes Morgan came out of the team. And what Wes Morgan did is that you're playing 4-2-3-1 or 4 whatever. you 20 minutes into the end of the game, and the team, at like 80 minutes, the opposition team just turn it on. They're like, right, let's go, let's smash it. He comes in, settles everything down, plays that middle, heads the ball out, and that's his role. He's not supposed to be playing a full 90 minutes for Leicester City, because if he gets caught on the back foot, he's useless. If you look at his,
you're right.
The first goal for Man City, Kevin De Bruyne, he leaves him so much space, and you're just like, oh man, what are you doing? Gundogan, again, the ball comes through it. Somebody should have closed him down a little bit more as well. So, yeah, Vestergaard is not a great player to play for 90 minutes. We are struggling. Again, 5th choice centre-back at the moment. And then, so Daniel Amartey, I love, again, on Beyond the 90, we call him the Ghanaian excellence. Just to piss off Arsenal fans, because they still scream about Thomas Partey for ages.
He hasn't turned up to his own party. Like, let's be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, let's get, but then they're quiet. So we call him Ghanaian excellence, but he does come in and does do a good job in a back three is where he thrives.
That's what I was saying when I looked at him. I was like, that's why I had to hold it, because I was like, well, they shipped 6. But every time I looked at him, I was like, yo, this guy's he's doing all right. Like, you know what I mean?
He's a player that you need in the squad that comes off the bench, does you a job, and is happy to sit on the bench. Do you know what I mean? You need them people in your squad. So we love him. I love him. He does have an off game from time to time, but what he needs to do, like for example against Man United, he was phenomenal. Kept Ronaldo quiet all game, headering balls away, not allowing you any time on the ball, hustling, bustling. It was brilliant. So Timothy Castagne is normally our wing back, but you have to push him into a centre of a back three. That's probably how it would work for Leicester City. He's an unbelievable left back or right back. He can play both. But I think because of the lack of defenders we've got, I think the lack of players we've got now. So the team we played against we've lost Sionchu, we've lost Ricardo, we've lost Daka, we've lost Ryan Bertrand. And I think that's it. But that was already in a defensively depleted squad. So again, Fofana's out, James Justin's out, Johnny Evans is out. Ricardo's there, not there. So defensively we are all over the place.
Woof. Sounds like us a season ago. Crazy.
We were there. We had as many injuries as you, but we never get mentioned. Just like the Ricardo injury. We had more injuries than you, but it never was mentioned because we're not a top 6 club. And so the thing is, the point is not to go, oh, feel sorry for me. It was just to go, yo, I got to big myself up, because at times we didn't even get a look in. So that's the thing. So anyway, Luke Thomas, this is not him for some reason. He's not on this, but he's a great little left back. But he is still 21. He's still got a lot to learn, and it's going to be a lot to try and take him on. Maddison, again, Tielemans and Ndidi, that pivot works beautifully. If Ndidi's not fit, then you've got Samore, and then Chowdhury came on. Again, massive fan of Hamza Chowdhury. Not just for being a player that just grinds out games and is just chasing down and hassling people, but also because I've got representation for my Asian people in my team from my club. I'm gassed, man. I'm gassed. Yeah, but he is a genuinely good player as well. And then wing back, we have to play Marco Brighton, because I don't think we have anybody else. If he doesn't play, you're probably looking at somebody called Vontae Daly-Campbell, who we got from Arsenal's academy. But most likely all Brighton will play. And then up front, you've got Maddison, who again we'll definitely get onto a little bit. Jamie Vardy was rested for the Man City game. He'll probably start here alongside Kelechi Iheanacho as well. So that's pretty much all of the squad that we've got at the moment. I think Dewsbury Hall could be somebody we could potentially put in, but I'd rather have Ndidi in for that. And Dewsbury Hall, phenomenal player.
He's looked not too bad, that Dewsbury Hall, to be fair. He was someone I was going to shout out. He looks quite tidy.
He's a great player, but he plays in the same position as Tielemans. He's a box-to-box, old school, you got Barnes and how people rate Barnes, and I rate Barnes, but I think he's injured / COVID at the moment, so we can't play him. But the thing is, he might come on we might see him up front partnering Vardy, or if Vardy comes off after a certain amount of time, you put Barnes up front and he just brings on a player. He's as good as Dewsbury Hall is as good as him, but we haven't seen enough of him, if that makes sense.
Really? You would say that Dewsbury Hall is as good as Barnes, yeah?
Yes, in terms of
Okay.
in a different position, but he's as good as him in terms of potential and ability.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's why I'm saying like I wouldn't. It's mad because I'm not a Leicester fan, but the little I saw of him, I was like, this guy's a player. Like this guy can ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice to okay, all right, fair enough.
So yeah, just whip that up. So yeah, so that's what I think my team will be. That's what I would pick. Brendan Rodgers, we don't know, partly because of injuries, partly because, again, just when it comes to tactics, we know Brendan's a good tactician for Leicester. There's another comment I've just seen that we will get into in a second. However,
I was gonna pull that comment. I had it stored. True done.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. But going to Man City with a full fit squad and not having a recognised CDM is suicide. Absolute suicide. Don't know what he was thinking. I know that they're just coming back from injury and stuff, but no Ndidi, who's a massive firefighter.
I was just about to say, without Ndidi, that's kind of what, hearing what you're saying, I think a lot of Liverpool fans are fearing that as well, because without Fabinho, our midfield just looks like it is just basketball. Like you could just, it's just, you can just bypass it. And I feel like that's pretty much the same thing. Without Ndidi really like locking down that midfield for you, it is a bit, it's hard.
It's peak.
Yeah, it is peak. It is
yeah.
The what's it called? The break though is lovely. If you can get it to Maddison and his form as well. The way he was shaking off players in that mid on the break. I said, jeez, the break is real frightening. I'm not gonna lie, but you're right. It is peak when you don't have the ball.
Yeah. Especially when you've got it in that final in that midfield and defensive positions, we don't know what we're doing. Sterling had a really good game, but partly because he's playing at somebody that's playing at right back who's normally at left wing or right wing, because we're just trying to shove him into position. So when it comes to Maddison, we just have to shout, because he's one of the players where
win it up, just kick it to him as quickly as possible. Isn't it? Really, that's got to be it, no?
Yeah, his job was, again, in the Man City game, to defend the ball, get past a couple of players, and then put the ball in. And he's so good at doing that. The problem is when he's off the boil, he has when he's on form like this, he's unplayable. And when he comes off, he's quiet for about 13 games. But people don't really notice it as much. When Maddison's on form, he's unbelievable. But if you're talking about him getting into the England squad, this is one of the reasons why Foden can do it on a consistent basis. Mount can do it on a consistent basis. Grealish can do it on a consistent basis. Smith Rowe, I don't know in that position like a Cam. But Maddison can't. He's kind of like...
on that point, right? And I in my head, I feel like a lot of the lack of Maddison's consistency has come with injury. Niggles. Am I right? Would I be right in saying that? And again, because I'm not a Leicester fan, but like, there's not a lot of times that I've seen Maddison fit for a lengthy amount of period where he's just been dross. Do you know what I mean? Like, would that, or am I slightly off the boil with that? Like, because in my head, I'm like, I just feel like, is this every single time? There was a period when I was just like, he was just injured, little injuries. He was out. And that's when I was like, where's he gone? But then every time he would come and then have a little, I'd be like, there's that Maddison, and then he'd go again. So I don't know. But you tell me.
It's a weird one. It's a kind of combination of both. So if he gets injured, obviously his confidence drops, but then he doesn't pick up form, so his confidence is not really there. For example, in the FA Cup final, he wasn't really there, but he needed to play. But we were like, he's not really doing it for us at the moment. But he needed to play to get. But you can't. You see, FA Cup performance again, one of the best matches I've ever seen in Leicester City in terms of like what it meant in the game. But Maddison was missing. He was missing. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a weird
was he fully fit?
Again, he's coming back from injury, but
you know what I mean?
The injury just turns into confidence issues. Yeah, so it kind of like, you know what I mean? It just kind of mixes into one. And so, yeah, you're right. When he gets injured, it's a massive miss for us. But especially the way we're playing, I think that's one side of it. But now look at him, where I think he's got more goals and assists than games he's played in the last 15, 16.
Been on fire. Like,
he's unbelievable.
Fire. Like, I remember he was on when they were interviewing him on BBC, and they're like, oh, you've got like 9. He was like, no, actually, it's like, do you know what I mean? 12 and da-da-da-da. He was on there like, oh, you know your stats. He's onto it. Like, he's on it. And this is what I'm saying. I just can't think of a time that he's played. This is probably in my head one of the longest periods he's been fit and just been playing. So that's why I couple the two with like, oh, maybe he just needs to just shake off the niggling injuries. I kind of couple it with like a Naby Keita in our team. Like the only reason we don't see the best of him because the guy's never fit, and then now he's fit, you're starting to see what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Maddison's one to look out for in this match, but he gets talked about a lot for good and bad reasons. But it's his own fault. I think he does. You know, when the footballers are like, "You're a baller, but just stop this off the pitch antics." He's one of them where you're like, he has this lot. He likes the attention on the off the pitch stuff.
Calvin Lewin, like what's it called?
Jack Grealish is a bit of it like that.
Ali,
Storage for you guys.
Sorry, yeah, he's that breed of like flamboyant, like to do their thing and like
which I don't mind. But the problem is, you're going to get roasted for it. You're going to get absolutely... And I don't really care about a player's personal life. You do yours. But your stuff is going to... You're going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact.
Let me play devil's advocate. Not so much so Aubameyang, but like very much so Maddison on this point. Yeah? Do you not feel the way that he plays... sometimes reflects the way that he is, if you know what I mean? Like he's quite a flamboyant, do you know what I'm getting at? Like, he's cocky.
He's got swagger.
He's cocky, he's got swagger, like everything you see off of the pitch, you see with him when he's on song. That's Maddison. Do you know what I mean? Like the goal against us in it like 2 days ago. Do you know what I mean? That's Maddison.
Mental.
Do you do you feel?
I get you.
You know what I mean?
But also the media likes to pick. You see, and even when they don't, somebody like Raheem Sterling, we see how the media loves to hate on him. In general, they just love to absolutely just drown him out in just, even if he goes to Poundland or whatever, they just like to just nail that in. But partly here's an example for you, right? So Leicester, you remember like the first lockdown, right? Leicester was the only place that was locked in for like 2 months extra, which is a piss take. Trust me, it was a piss take for us. We were like, the rest of the country's going out, and I can't lie. I was needing a barber. I was needing a trim. You know what I mean? And I can't go to the. And we were just so I had to go out, go to my cousin's one, then come back and pretend like I wasn't.
You're looking all 45 and that. It was looking all mad, like you're looking.
Bro, I was looking homeless as fuck. Years, like. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, right, okay, it's just a trim it. So went there, trimmed it anyway. One of the reasons why is because one of the companies that you know, Boohoo. So the Boohoo plate like factory in Leicester, they were paying people £2 an hour. They were there were no social distancing, no mask wearing, no nothing, and all these people getting COVID. One went to the office and they went home, and it just went boof. And so they went to the supermarket, whatever. And anyway, the center of that, what they traced it back to was this Boohoo thing. And James Maddison saying, stay home everybody, make sure that you whatever. Then about not even maybe 6 months later, Maddison's appearing in Boohoo advertisements. This is the kind of thing where I'm like, you have every right to do this Boohoo thing, but it's tone deaf. There's a reason why. And also then I think later on against the West Ham game, he was involved in the COVID party. So these kind of things, you're like, look, man, we want to be on your side, but you've got to help us out. You're not helping us out in this one.
No, I hear that. I do hear that. But the noise isn't as loud when you're performing on the pitch, and he is.
Yeah, 100%.
So long may that continue, not against us, hopefully. I got 2 points. Shout out Christopher Edwards. I see you. I'm gonna come back to your point real quick. You and Trudon, I got you lot. I've put in. I've tucked it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna fire off my possible lineup, or my predicted lineup, should I say? I'm gonna go obviously Alisson, Trent. I'm gonna go Matip, Van Dijk. Go back to what tried and tested. I know Van Dijk is back. Again, I don't know. He's an absolute stallion of a man, so I wouldn't I wouldn't hope that COVID could bring him to his knees like it would any of us mere mortals. So I hope he's cool. Obviously, like I said, Robertson's suspended for this game, so it's gonna have to be Simicast. But I don't say that with any slight. Like I'm happy with that. Fab, need Fabinho. Like I said, he's our Ndidi. Without Fabinho, it's looking a bit not really sure what's going on. I think midfield is the harder one to call, to be fair. Thiago has just come back off COVID, so I'm not sure. His first training session was Boxing Day, so he would have had probably 2. I don't know if it's enough for him to start the game. I'd probably say Fabinho, Henderson, and Keita. I'd like to see that, and then maybe, we switch it up. And that's only really because of I don't know what fitness is saying. Then obviously starting up top have to be, let's just try and get as much use out of them before they go AFCON as possible, innit? Mane, Jota, and Salah. We'll move. Before we get into predicted scores, I'll hit up some of the comments that I've had put in the tuck. Trudon says, has Rodgers peaked at Leicester? I think he may have taken him as far as he can. And with that, I'm going to put my 2 cents in before you go because you're the Leicester fan. I don't know. It's a hard one for me personally because I do feel like injuries have played a real big part. Like I couldn't have had the season, or we couldn't have had the season we did last season, and then me skate over that for other people. It would be hypocritical. And as you mentioned, you yourself last season had a very, like, we all like to mock you like for slipping out the top 4, but people then forget, like, do you know what I mean? The Suyuncu like injury and all of that, like those heavy injuries.
Johnny Evans, massive player for us. Ndidi was out for half the season, and people didn't really pay attention.
What's the other guy? Still out.
Justin. Unbelievable player.
Mate,
honestly,
that was I'm
so
saying.
good.
So people don't say that. So I do think that
we were down to, I think after the Arsenal game, we were down to, I think, 14 players, first team players. We were playing 4 central midfielders because that's all we had. I mean, we were playing under 23s to try and just pick up the piece and jot them back in. We were playing 2 strikers up, 3-5. We were playing all sorts of formations just to try and keep everybody fit. Because again, it was because we played these games overall, and you know, because the way that Jurgen Klopp plays and the way that Brendan Rodgers plays, in a way, in terms of the intensity, is very similar. But because we don't have the squad depth, injuries just ping. One and then Harvey Barnes went that game for the rest of the season. James Justin went for the next season. Ricardo went. There was so many injuries, man. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I think the bigger problem, if I'm honest, is probably a far bigger problem than I can delve in a minute and a half just skimming over it. But I think it's more of an identity problem. I think looking at it from like an outsider and a rival, I feel like Leicester or their owners have an identity problem. Like, what kind of a club do you see yourselves? Do you know what I mean? And it's a hard one because, like, you know, you said, even you yourself said it. You were like, we have problems, but people don't really look at our problems because we're not a top 6 side. And I wanted to then interrupt, but I let you flow. But I was thinking, how are Leicester not a top 6 side? Like, you're not maybe a top 4 side, but like, do you know what I mean? And if you're not a top 6 side, it's even harder of an identity problem because you're a side that just won the Premier League not too long. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you've got
more recently than Tottenham. Obviously, Arsenal.
Do you know what I'm saying? Man United. Like,
if you talk about a top 6, we are in there over the last couple of seasons.
This is why I'm like, this is why it's
I think that's a fair thing to say. I think a lot of Premier League teams would agree. Exactly. The only teams that would disagree is North London, who are out of it, who are starting to come back into form, but they're still not top 4 worthy.
Yeah, 100%. But I feel like you need to, like, you don't have a squad. This is a reoccurrent thing, and like I'm saying, is like, it's an identity thing. It's like, if you start to see yourselves as like, or the ambitions is, no, we want to cement ourselves as, we don't want to be like, we want to cement ourselves in this. Then you start looking at the owners and investment and start like padding that squad up a little bit and start, do you know what I mean, and not start going on bare bones. I think it's a little bit more than Rodgers, me personally.
Yeah, and the thing is, the owners are amazing. We've got the best owners in the league in terms of what they do for the community. Every single person in this city knows about them, and they know about how good he is, and how amazing they've done for each individual like person. Knows they, for example, when they won the league, they gave £2 million to the local hospital that I was born in. Just because, it was nice, and they just went and did it. There's loads of little stories that every single person's got that they've actually helped out. Not just that, but let's just bring it back to football. They've built £120 million training ground. Why do you think that is? To invest in the future and talent, to keep players there for the long term. Then the old training ground they've given to the women to help improve them. So they could have sold that on for real estate. There's loads of little things that Leicester are doing. So they dug up the whole pitch because the pitch wasn't good enough, resurfaced that to play the style of football that we need for the Premier League. There's loads of little things they're doing behind the scenes that were all clicking into place. And there's a reason why people were going, why did Daka not come to you guys but come to us? Because on paper, you guys have more pedigree. You guys have more opportunity. You could, again, if you're playing a false nine, Daka could play that. The reason why he came to us is because of our facilities, our training, our owner, and also the way that we approach our business. We know that we're going to get the best out of him, but the training ground is one example.
As well. Let's be honest.
Yes, but it's more than that. It is more than that, because bearing in mind, Jamie Vardy is still starting every single game. This is not Daka's not come in and go, I'm going to start. No, he's not. He would. The reason why is because Jamie Vardy is still number one. I mean, he's third highest scorer behind your two in the Premier League. But that's no coincidence. He's still firing.
Daka aside, I put you and Southampton, but I put you above Southampton in terms of best run team. In terms of acquisition, the players in which you're able to acquire, sell on, like replace, like ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna waste time just going through them. So like, I know what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? I agree in part with what you're saying. You do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You do.
But it's just something that doesn't get talked about in terms of like, has Brendan Rodgers peaked? I think if he had, we don't come back to if. The thing is, the peaked means that kind of the players are down tools. And if you watch, even though we were 4-0 down, the team was still playing to what Brendan Rodgers says to come back to 4-3, potentially, as you were saying before, 4-4. The players believe in the system, but things weren't happening. It's a mixture of injuries, COVID, wrong tactics, let's be real, and players that are not doing their job. So to say it's all the manager's fault, it's just the easy narrative. And they're not. But the thing is, what's really impressive for me was the fact that we were 4-0 down and didn't throw in the towel. We didn't dial tools. We were like, we'll see if we can get something from the game by changing tactics. And we played a lot better playing that 5-4-1 formation.
Scared them as well. Scared them.
So it's a weird one because it's not just like, oh yeah, it's the manager's fault. There's so many different issues.
No, I know. It's a new one.
We're in this era of journalism tweets. If it doesn't fit in a tweet, it doesn't matter. And that's what I'm a bit sick of. Leicester are bottle jobs. Well, let's look at the reason why. Okay, well, Leicester aren't good enough to break into the top 6. Okay, let's look at why. It's just these narratives are too. The more you analyze football, the more you realize, it's more complicated than just this simple headline.
But it's sensationalism in it, and that's the 100%. Time we're in, so it is what it is. Okay, quickly then, let's go into Christopher's shout out Christopher Edwards on that one. Appreciate it. He said, wouldn't mind Liverpool signing Yuri Tillemans. Me too, not gonna lie, but not for the price that he would probably come for, because these lot would not let him go for patents. But the interesting part of his comment that I wanted to talk to you about is since he's running down his contract, what's your thoughts on that?
So he's basically said he's good enough to play Champions League football, and that's what he wants. And I understand that as a Leicester fan. When we know where we are, as much as I've talked this up, we do want to be. I want my team to be playing Champions League football, but he's good enough to play for a Champions League team. He wants that Champions League, and I don't blame him. The problem is, running down the contract implies that he's not playing for Leicester. If you watch his performances, his little one-on-one duels, he's playing for the team. He's playing for the manager. And that's what I care about the most. With Ben Chilwell, if you look, our fans don't like him because he goes, "I've got my move to Chelsea. I'm going to down tools." And he didn't want to play after that. So a lot of the Premier League, a lot of the Leicester fan base, even though he came through our academy, dislike him massively because he down tools. And we could have gone on to, with his help, we could have gone on to secure that top 4 position and secure that 4th spot. But he down tools, goes, "Now I'm not going to play forward, just play it back to the keeper." And really annoying. Yuri Tillman's doing the opposite. He's going out of his way. And if he leaves, every single Leicester fan will clap and say, "Thank you for your service." Of what you've done.
Even if he comes to Liverpool.
Even though you want it, again, your owners are tight. We will
you are
going to
bleed like someone for like 90 million for him or something.
We're going to, well, the thing is, he's only got 2 years on his contract. A lot of what we do is we sign him on a new contract and then Maguire's a perfect example. Here's extra money. He goes, "I'll take it." 80 million. Man United had to pay it. And then look what happened. So he's going to go for cheaper. He's probably going to go for 40 to 50 mil, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, but
sorry, I can't.
We don't. But again, he's still on our books. He's still our player. We call the shots for our transfers, and that's something that other people don't understand. We sign our players up, and we know how much they're worth, and we know how much they're going to get, and we stick to that price. If you want James Maddison, he would have cost you £70 million, but they didn't want to pay it. They just kept Arsenal going, "What about 50 million?" We said 60.
Yeah,
we set our price.
The difference is his contract is running out, and he's prepared to run it out. That's something we already know. Yeah. So do you not? Do you get 40 million now, or know that you're going to get something half that? Do you know what I mean? If that the next year, or then or the worst, even free the year after. Do you know what I mean?
So it doesn't. So again, another player example is Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez wanted to go for years for quite a while. He down tools a little bit at Leicester City and going to airports crying, going, "I want to transfer to somewhere." We were prepared to take. We took a loss, so it was on. We could have got 65 million plus a player from Man City, but we said no. We will do this on our time, on our way of doing it. Leicester really well running that business where we go, we are a small club, but we're not going to get bossed around for a player. We set your price, you meet it. If anything else, we're not interested. And there's all this talk and all this gas around, especially Arsenal fans going, "James Maddison, come, James Maddison, come." Arsenal didn't even put a bid in for him. So there was all this gas out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, let's leave Arsenal alone. But what did Mahrez go for in the end?
60 mil.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying that,
and that was a couple of years on the contract as well. So they basically they learned their lesson from N'Golo Kante. The N'Golo Kante went for 35 mil, and Leicester.
Hate you lot for that, man. Hate you lot for that.
We didn't know what we were doing at the time. Our owners were new to this. You could have bidded. Don't hate us. Hate your own owners. Hate FSG. He would have been brilliant for you. He would have been brilliant for any team.
He wouldn't have come to us knowing he wouldn't have come to us. Anyways. Can I ask you a quick question before we get into predicted scores?
Yeah, sure.
Any feeling towards Mahrez that he's celebrating against you, man?
Personally, or as a fan base? Personally, we hate the fact that he down tools for us and he was complaining and whinging, even though, without trying to sound too sensationalist, but we made Riyad Mahrez. Let's keep it real. We made Riyad Mahrez. Even though he's celebrating, it's not surprising. It's not surprising that he did that. Some fans hate him. I can appreciate what he did for him, but still think he's an idiot. But I won't boo him. Do you know what I mean? I still think, you went about things wrong way, but I appreciate what you've done. And at times when we, like, for example, in when the quarterfinals of the Champions League against Atletico Madrid, we need him to turn up. He didn't turn up. And if you watch the beginning for Pep, he didn't get in the team because his work ethic was pants. And Pep goes, "I got another player. I got Bernardo Silva here. You ain't playing. You can go away." So he's one thing that was really interesting is that I'm comparing Bernardo Silva to Yuri Tillman in terms of they're both trying to run out their contracts and get away from it, but they're both putting in 100%, and I can't fault them. Nobody can fault either of them for it.
No, I hear that. I totally hear that. Right. Shout out my main man, Aman Singh. Not gonna lie, I'm jealous of Leicester's owners, proper ambitious and actually care about football. I kind of second that, man. Like I said, I would definitely put them as front runners in terms of kind of well-run clubs within the Premier League. And Jay Prawley says Maddison seems in good form at the moment. You think he stays if he gets an offer from someone? I shoot that to you, man.
The thing is, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's not up to Maddison. It's up to us. We own Maddison. So if he wants to go, we don't play ball.
Yeah.
So
what can you say?
Do you know what I mean? It's like whether Maddison wants it or not, you sign the contract, you play for us. If not, then you're benched. And then if that's the case, then the other people really don't want to buy you. Yeah, so if you're going to put on that mentality, and he's got a good mentality, but the thing is, people only mention it now when he's in a good run of form. So people always looked at, and Leicester don't. The reason why I went on this little bit of a rant and tangent is because Leicester don't get bossed around now. We stick to our rules, we sell how we want to sell, and we're not going to get thrown about for stupid. We're not going to get put off for no money at all.
No, you're right.
We are still in contention.
I know that because even with Tielemans, I was like, every Liverpool fan was like, yeah, but it's Leicester though, isn't it? Like, and that's how I know what you're saying is true. Like, you are, no one ain't coming to Leicester and you know what I mean? Kind of buoying you.
Look at it. 35 for Drinkwater, 80 for Maguire, 50 for Chilwell. We don't play around. We set the price, meet it or piss off. Literally, we are that ruthless when it comes to football. Our CEO is fantastic. She's so good at what she does.
All right. So let's stop waxing lyrical about your owners and let's start.
No. We've not spent enough time. I can keep going.
Let's get a little bit more realistic in terms of score prediction in terms of the game. Yeah, you're the debutant on my channel, so I'll let you go first again. What's your score prediction for the game, Mr. Nil?
I ain't got anything. It's going to be bare goals.
Yeah, I do think that because of both.
It's going to be fair goals, but Van Dijk's back for you guys. Which makes it, but he can keep Vardy quiet, but Vardy always gets a sniffing, you know. So I can't tell you. With Leicester, anything can happen. If I predicted a 2-2 for Man City, we've got 6-3. So either way, it's gonna. Let's just say 3-3, because
3-3. I don't know. I think 3-2. I think we win, but I do think it's gonna be. We just can't help but get sucking into a fist fight with you lot. Like the last time we went and actually controlled the game 2-1. I think the 2-1 win, 2018 maybe. But yeah, it's just mental. But yeah, no, I do agree. I think we go in and get it like that. Guys, please make sure you're hitting the subscribe button on both of the channels. Make sure you're going over to Neil's channel, Beyond the 90, and making sure you're subscribing and hitting a like on this video. Neil, before we get out, thank you ever so much. What was your thoughts? How it's all right, isn't it? We're cool over this side of town, over this side of Melbourne.
Always again, introduced you on Shameless. I was like, all right, cool, man. We've got some replacement for Ryan. And then it's all just, and then you probably came in one of the steamiest episodes available. You're like, what is this, man? There's just vibes everywhere. But yeah, this is more me, just more chill and more like analysis based, where that's just about shamelessness and vibes.
Yeah, it's just shamelessness, bro. It's just I know it's that Ryan is better there in that medium, and I'm better at this medium. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're probably watching. I did for the first half an hour or 45 minutes of the first episode, where North London, Tottenham and Arsenal were just going at one another. I'm just sitting there like, what the it's like you walk into class and everybody's just beefing each other. Yeah. And there's like chairs being thrown, punches, elbows just coming out of nowhere. And you're just sitting there going, bro, should I leave? What's going on? And then 2 Arsenal fans. So that's like 2 lots of chairs being thrown. But yeah.
Let me check what's going on, bro. What's
still 1-0, I think.
Still. What's the time? 58 minutes. Oi. Come on, Newcastle. Please hold out, man. Yeah. Don't want to hear no soos tonight. But no, listen, Neil, thank you ever so much for joining me on the stream. Much appreciated. Listen, very best of luck. Not too much, obviously. Hopefully we slap you. And then we can come back and we can chop it up. But no,
don't worry. Listen, Jamie Vardy's available.
Thanks, guys. We're out. Listen, everyone. Hope